to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself.
This One's Wife. Attack on Sophie Chandauka. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As explained over the last couple of days, Dr Sophie Chandauka has articulated her concerns about the behaviour of Prince Harry and this one's wife. She's been met with some mixed reactions. There are some that call into question her motivation and her own conduct. There are others that hold her up as a sterling example of someone that's finally prepared to speak out about them and has done so in a convincing, compelling and articulate fashion. The point, as I made yesterday, is irrespective of what her actual motives are, she can still be telling the truth about what has happened. She might be utilising that truth in a particular way. She might be utilising it for her own advancement. She might be utilising it to highlight poor behaviour because she feels that it's time that it was exposed. In the fullness of time, those motivations will become clearer. But so far, what she has demonstrated is a pattern of behaviours which are commensurate with the unpleasant way that both Harry and this one's wife have behaved, and which people have been well familiar with. Notwithstanding this, we're now learning more about the attacks that have been launched against Dr Chandauka, both back then and now. And we'll start with an attack that was essentially launched against her, which provides further grist to the mill with regard to the behaviours of Harry and this one's wife, as reported by Martin Robinson of the Daily Mail. Prince Harry was accused of sending an unpleasant and imperious note to the boss of Centre Barley, demanding she explain herself when she declined to publicly defend his wife following an awkward exchange at a polo event. The excruciating video showed this one's wife moving Dr Sophie Chandauka away from her husband in Florida in April 2024 has been viewed by millions online. I analysed it back then and I analysed it again just recently. This is clear evidence. It shows the high-handed nature of this one's wife, whereby the presence of Dr Chandauka is regarded as a threat to her control because she's standing next to the intimate partner primary source, which is Harry, demonstrating that she believes that it all has to be about her and what she wants, that everybody should be attuned to her needs and demands and should automatically know what they are. This one's wife ordered her about, demonstrating her absence of emotional empathy, her sense of entitlement and her haughtiness. Dr Chandauka explained that Prince Harry had, via his team, asked her to issue some sort of statement in support of this one's wife to quash any rumours of tension between them. However, it's now been claimed that when Dr Chandauka refused to be drawn into any row, Prince Harry allegedly sent her a message himself demanding that she explain herself. The note was unpleasant in tone and used imperious language, leaving Dr Chandauka upset, the same insider said. Now, if this is accurate, it demonstrates once again the unpleasant side of Harry that exists, and that his emotional empathy becomes reduced as a consequence of the external stressor that is this one's wife ordering him around. As I made clear in a video yesterday, and for those that have been involved with a narcissist, you know how your own behaviour is altered as a consequence of the way that the narcissist treated you. That it may well have caused you to behave badly or unpleasantly to third parties because that's what's been demanded of the narcissist. And in order to try and keep the peace, to placate, to appease the narcissist so they don't attack you, you end up doing things which you'd rather not or that you regret, but, and in some instances, that you thought was the right thing to do at the time. However, when you look back, you realise that it wasn't. The fact is that once again we see Harry's narcissistic traits come to the fore as he acts as a lieutenant of his wife. It is common for the purposes of the use of a lieutenant that the narcissist will use the intimate partner primary source in that way. For instance, It's often quite common that the former intimate partner primary source is aggrieved at the way that they have been treated by the narcissist. So what do? They invariably try and tell lots of people this person's an abuser or this person is indeed a narcissist. They want to tell family and friends, and they will often approach the new partner of the narcissist to say, you want to watch out, you want to get away from him or her, you'll just end up with what's happened to me. Now, of course, what the narcissist has already done has painted the ex as a lunatic, an alcoholic, a drug taker, a whore, a wife beater, whatever it might be, and forewarned the new appliance. Yes, my ex-wife, my ex-husband, he is a bit of a lunatic. You might find that he or she will try and approach you and tell lies about me. Of course, the narcissist is treating that new intimate partner primary source to the golden period. So what do they see? They see a person who is kind to them, loving, fun, interesting, and exciting, and then somebody else who comes along shouting the odds, who has already been labelled as an agitator and a perpetrator of abuse. Accordingly, they then turn on this person. You're just trying to split us up. You're just envious of our relationship. Get away. And they often can even be motivated at the behest of the narcissist to engage in some kind of smear campaign about the former intimate partner primary source. And it is only later that the individual realizes that that person previously had been caught by the narcissist, and that the current intimate partner primary source realizes they've been caught by a narcissist, and that the ex was right in what they were saying. It caused them to believe the narcissist, to do what the narcissist wanted, to lash out at other people. And it's entirely commensurate with that behavior that Harry's own set in his ways narcissistic behaviors are harnessed by this one's wife, causing him to behave in the way that he did towards Dr. Chandauka. Once again, it is a classic aspect of the narcissistic dynamic. But it doesn't just end there. Following her disclosures, a real problem has been generated, as I explained yesterday, for both Harry and this one's wife. And so what is now happening? There is an attempt to shut her up and smear her. Yes, the Times reports, as per Kate Mancy, a black chairwoman at Prince Harry's charity had her work likened to the white minority rule of 1960s Rhodesia. The Duke of Sussex is accused of failing to take appropriate action after Sophie Chandauka raised concerns of bullying and racism at Centre Barley, the charity he founded nearly 20 years ago in honour of his late mother. Harry and his co-founder resigned from the charity along with several trustees last week after Chandauka refused to step down. They said that the situation was untenable and beyond repair. In a counterattack, she publicly accused the charity's former patrons and trustees of a cover-up. Thus far, Chandauka, a Zimbabwe-born lawyer, has not publicly provided specific examples of her grievances. However, the Times understands that one white trustee compared her leadership to UDI, a reference to the 1965 Unilateral Declaration of Independence in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe. Led by the Prime Minister Ian Smith, the UDI was a move in which the white minority leaders illegally declared independence from the British Crown to crush black opposition in the country. The comment referencing her country's colonial past is said to have incensed Chandauka, and is understood to have been one of several public and private examples of behaviour at the charity of which she now complains. Chandauka emailed some of her concerns to a trustee in November last year and then wrote to Harry. Presumably the content of those emails will be made available in due course. Accordingly, the suggestion has been made of a smear against her, of suggesting that her leadership was that compared to that of Ian Smith, who was the Prime Minister of Rhodesia, which of course is an insult, first of all, to compare him and her, to compare her to his behaviours, but also with regard to the racial aspect of that also. And this has now been brought up again by reference to try and undermine Dr. Chandauka by pointing out that she is this dictatorial individual. The blows have certainly landed, of that there can be no doubt, and now it would appear that there is a concerted effort to try and discredit her. One suspects that it isn't going to work, because whilst there are those that query her motives, many people still seem to accept the essence and truth of what she is saying, and that becomes problematic. But we're seeing an attack launched on Sophie Chandauka. It was launched historically, both in terms of Harry sending an imperious email to her and a trustee likening her to the leader of Rhodesia, and now this is being brought up again for the purposes of trying to seek to discredit her behaviour and conduct. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.